We've got barbecue back here. You're all invited. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well, Jared. Doing pretty well. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Another week, another list
chaos.
of teams falling victim to team chaos.
Yeah, we got some Mario men falling. We got some Mario men down.
Let's not waste any time.
No.
Let's go right into
This is supposed to be like a 30-minute episode, and we've hit an hour, I think, on the last two, or close to it. So yeah, let's not waste time. Let's just go.
Yep. All right. Clemson. Biggest surprise here. Clemson beating Notre Dame 31-23. Big surprise in this one. I thought Notre Dame should have handled Clemson, especially with Clemson's running back out for this game, and not the case. Not the case here. This is Notre Dame's third loss of the year.
Yeah, not super helpful for Ohio State. It was a trap game for Notre Dame. Well, I mean, it's still Clemson. And say what you want to say about Clemson, they still have talent. Mm-hmm. So if they weren't up for Clemson, that's on them.
Speaking of third losses, USC.
Yeah.
Losing to Penix and team, 52-42 in a good old Pac-12 shootout.
Yeah, the Trojans failed all forms of protection against Penix. Hate to see it. Yeah. By the way, Kyle. All night long, exactly. It has finally happened. The question we have been asking is now void. We kept asking ourselves, how the hell does Alex Grinch still have a job?
And he doesn't now.
Well, feels long overdue. And Lincoln Riley, loudly and publicly defended Alex Grinch just a few weeks ago, basically blaming everyone else for even asking the question. So
yeah, long overdue. That should have been.
Why did he take him
in January?
No, Kyle. No. Why did he bring him from Oklahoma?
That too. Too.
I get maybe not firing a guy because maybe you like him or maybe but why bring him? You didn't have to bring him. Ole Miss escapes over Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Oh, this is good. This is a good one from Tim Shoemaker. Michigan's punishment, Jared, should not be Harbaugh's suspension. Shouldn't be them not having them have a no post season. Their punishment should be to hire Ferentz as their offensive coordinator, and then Alex Grinch as their defensive coordinator. That immediately.
Christ.
That should be their
Jesus
punishment.
Christ. That's you just death penalty him at that point. Just give him the SMU at that point. My God.
All right, moving on. Ole Miss defeats A&M 38-35. A&M continuing to win games here.
Ole Miss continuing to win games.
Yes, Ole Miss continuing to win games. Yeah.
Texas A&M continuing to almost upset big teams.
Yes, almost.
Texas A&M legitimately probably the best 5-4 team in the country, which not a high bar, but they always seem to be right there against pretty good teams.
Yeah. Texas beats Kansas State 33-30 in overtime. And yeah,
close game, good game.
If it wasn't for that botch extra point, this game would have been over.
Well, I mean,
yes and no.
You never know. You never know. Mm-hmm. Things happen. Things change.
Yeah. Utah defeat just handles ASU. Tulsa escapes the Pirates of ECU 13-10. Air Force. Air Force with their first loss to
Force down.
Army.
Air Force down. Yeah, this is, we had a group of 3 teams who were still undefeated, who were not, Power 5 teams. This is one of them going down. So we still have James Madison. We still have Liberty undefeated at this point. Although it should be pointed out, Kyle, that James Madison, not postseason eligible. So, yeah. Liberty just kind of... Because James Madison just came up, and the NCAA has a really stupid rule that you can't participate for 2 years in the postseason after changing divisions. Or, well, not divisions, because they're all Division 1, but changing subdivisions. Now, I 100% understand that rule if you're going down a division or subdivision. That makes sense, right? But if you're going up a division or subdivision, why do you have to sit out for 2 years of postseason play? And apparently James Madison pursued some sort of exception or waiver and was denied because the NCAA sucks. And we all hate it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Louisville defeats Virginia Tech 34-3.
Yeah.
Georgia defeats Missouri 30-21.
Big win for Georgia. And, it was a close game. I mean, Georgia does, to their credit, win by more than, by 2 scores. But it was a close game for Mizzou. Mizzou played really well. A lot of respect for Mizzou, especially, and just a lot of respect for Mizzou. I think they have a good quarterback. I think they have a great core wide receivers. Defense absolutely hold their own. One of the important takeaways from this, I'll say, is that Georgia's beatable. And in fact, literally everyone in college football is beatable. And, I think we'll have a discussion about, we had Georgia 4th in our top 4 last week. We'll see if they can sneak up once we get to that point in the show.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. Penn State just destroys Maryland 51-15. What is going on with Maryland? I thought they were supposed to be the best 5-4 team.
I thought Maryland tried to hang for a little bit. Maryland tried to hang. It fell apart. But it's good for Ohio State that Penn State remain a dominant appearing football team. So,
that's fair. All right,
Florida State. Don't let that final score fool you, especially since Pitt is terrible. Like just to be known, in case anyone is confused by the fact that Pitt was good for a couple years there. Pitt is a 2-7 football team who just got completely run off embarrassed by Notre Dame last week. Held their own against Florida State for a while in this game. So
what was it? I'm looking here. It was halftime. Yeah, halftime it was 10-7. 10-7 and then Florida State got 2 late touchdowns in the third quarter to make it 24-7 game.
Yeah. Florida State's had some stinker games this year. Georgia's had stinker games this year. Washington's had some stinker games this year. Nobody's great. Everyone bleeds.
Yeah. Another team chaos here. The Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cowboys, Oklahoma State. One last time defeats Oklahoma 27-24.
I called this one, for the record. Absolutely called this one. Ollie Gordon completely turned this team around. Ollie Gordon turned this team around, running back for Oklahoma State. much like Noah Fifita, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, at Arizona, totally turned around Arizona. Ollie Gordon totally turned around Oklahoma State. Kyle, you mocked me. I said Oklahoma State was going to win this game during the Sloop Picks, and you were like, oh, Jared, the same team that lost to, is it South Alabama? Who'd they lose to? Some embarrassing game.
Yeah, it was South Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mocked me for suggesting that Oklahoma State was gonna beat Oklahoma.
I did, and kudos to Oklahoma State. I'll give them credit there.
Well, just Oregon State or Oklahoma State?
Just Oregon State.
Just Oklahoma State.
Just Oklahoma State.
That those are the only kudos you're handing out right now.
I am for right now.
Okay.
Oregon defeats Cal 63-19. Oregon's still one of the best teams in the country. Kansas escapes a win against Iowa State 28-21. Michigan does what they need to do against Purdue 41-13. Now, interesting thing about that game.
Yeah, I love this stat. Please continue.
It's the first time. Oh, when was it? Hold on, I gotta find.
I think it's the first time in the last 2 seasons.
Here it is. Yep, first time in the last 2 years, Michigan did not cover a Big Ten spread. Is this a coincidence? Coincidence?
I mean, to be fair, it was a 31-point spread. Like that's a tall ask.
That was, yeah. But Purdue did get that late touchdown to squeak that cover there, and it was at home too. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Oregon State defeats Colorado 26-19. Now the biggest question here, and I don't care, Jared, but will Colorado actually be bowl eligible this year?
If you didn't care, and if you can't tell by the look on my face, I don't care. Why'd you ask?
Hey, the Wildcats here, Jared, we've been saying this for weeks. In Arizona. Yeah. Arizona takes down another here. UCLA 27-10. We've been saying it for weeks here.
Yeah. Noah Fifita, man. I hope I'm saying his name correctly, but he's totally turned around Arizona. It's here, by the way, if the Heisman Trophy were a just award, this dude has single-handedly turned around an entire program. Just saying. It's relatively easy to be great when you're on a team of... This is what I always say about the Oscars. How come the people who win like Best Actor or Best Actress are always from a good movie? The Best Actor always wins for being a good actor in a good movie. You know what I'm impressed by? I'm impressed. You ever watch like a bad action movie, but the bad guy is like a Shakespearean English actor and he's killing it?
Wouldn't that make that movie good then?
No, it's still a bad movie. It's still poorly written. The other actors suck. But this one guy is carrying the movie. That guy should win an Oscar. Because despite everything going to shit around him, he is still great. Despite the script being bad and the director being bad and all the other actors being bad, this guy is still great. That's the guy who's the best actor of the year. So I'm saying, if there was a freshman
of the year, that's what Noah should have here, is freshman of the year.
So what I'm saying is, why is the most valuable player? Okay, most valuable I get. But shouldn't the best player be playing great despite the talent around him, as opposed to always giving it to someone who has amazing talent around them. Food for thought.
All right, in the last game here, Alabama
Yep.
defeats LSU 42-28.
Yeah, this was back and forth, very even for a long time. LSU quarterback gets hurt. I mean, they were already down 2 touchdowns at that point, so I'm not going to put it all on that. I think they lose regardless. I think Alabama wins, whether or not the quarterback for LSU gets hurt or not. But once he got hurt, it was over.
Yeah, I mean, couple of things about this. Like, one, LSU was without, I think, 2 of their starting corners. They were out with a lot of people, a lot of starters on the defense here.
Being out your corners doesn't matter when this game was just 2 quarterbacks running the entire game.
Yeah, that was going to be my other thing here was, you know he's going to run there, right? He ran the ball 20 times in this game.
How many quarterback rushes?
20 times.
Grand total of quarterback rushes in this game, Kyle?
31.
31 quarterback runs in this game. Now, that's
31
off that's thrown off by sack
300
numbers.
For 318
Yeah.
yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah. And even then, like, LSU was still throwing the ball well. I think at one point they were averaging like 20 yards per reception or something stupid like that. I don't know if that carried
both
the
Daniel,
rest of the game.
Both Daniels and Milroe passed the ball for 219 yards each.
Yeah. A psychotic football game. There wasn't a lot of defense being played, although considering I was watching that at the same time I was watching Washington and USC, it felt like a defensive struggle.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Wrigley Field. You know what? Let's not talk about that. Kyle, let's get to the tier list. All right, the official Buckeye tier list. Kyle, where do you want to start? We don't have any losses that occurred.
I thought you wanted to talk about.
Tier.
I thought you wanted to talk about the Iowa Northwestern game.
Nope.
Well, I digress.
I teased it like I was going to talk about it, but good Lord, let's not.
All right. Ohio State remains number 1. I still think their resume is still good, even with the Notre Dame loss.
Yeah,
it's still a really good win there. The Penn State victory looks even better now. But Georgia has Georgia.
It looks about the same.
Georgia finally has their key win here. Has their resume building win.
Yeah.
And with how Florida State struggled, and Washington beat USC, but their defense didn't. They up 42 points. That's just a lot of points that Washington. It was USC, but it's a lot of points.
USC does have a really good offense in their defense.
But what I'm trying to ultimately get, in my opinion, I think you have Ohio State 1. I think you move Georgia all the way to 2, and then Florida State to 4. So you just swap Florida State and Georgia.
I am good with this. I agree. I do still like Washington at 3. I think they pick up an excellent win this week. I mean, Ohio State, not that Rutgers is nearly on the level of either USC or Missouri. They are not. But, it's still a win over a 2-loss coming into the game. A 2-loss Big Ten football team. So, not a slouch by any means. And you win by 19 points. Georgia gets a top 15 win. Washington gets a top 20 win, at least coming into the games.
Yep.
Florida State, on the other hand, looked really bad against a really bad Pitt team. And, I don't want to put all of the weight on specifically what happened this weekend, but I don't think that there was a ton of difference, in my opinion, between Florida State, Georgia, and Washington coming into this. And now I would say that maybe there is a bit. I kind of am starting to put Ohio State, Georgia, and Washington kind of with some separation with Florida State a little bit. Kind of a top 3+1 right now. Because, Washington gets a top 20 win, doesn't look dominant doing it by any means. Georgia gets a top 10 win, or almost a top 10 win, a top 12 win. Doesn't look dominant doing it, but they get the win. It's not a bad team.
Yeah.
But all these teams are flawed, I think, is what I'm getting at. Like, none of these teams are dominant. None of these teams are scary. Like, if you're Ohio State fan listening right now and you're thinking, is Ohio State really better? Ohio State has these offensive line issues, and Ohio State this and Ohio State that. And, like, hey, just watch a Georgia game. They are an incredibly flawed team as well. Just watch a Washington game. They are an incredibly flawed team as well. Just watch a Florida State game. They are an incredibly flawed football team as well. We should stay number one regardless of who's better. I'm not someone who puts all of their stock into resume or eye test. I think you have to consider both. Georgia's going to pass us because SEC bias. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I don't know. I don't know the exact makeup of the committee right now, but I don't think it's like stacked with SEC people. Georgia has one top 20 win. Yeah. So does Ohio State right now. Because I guarantee you when the rankings come out, Notre Dame's not going to be in the top 20 anymore.
Yeah, the AP, if it's anything close to what the AP has AP and the coaches poll, which both crap, but still. They have Notre Dame at 22.
Yeah. So.
All right. Moving on to the A tier. I think Michigan's right there on that cusp. They did nothing to improve or hurt themselves, so they stay right where they're at there. Texas comes out with a win over ranked Kansas State at the time. They stay where they're at. I would say, I think there's a lot of people talk about Alabama now and how much they've improved, but it's like they only looked good because their quarterback was able to run the ball all over LSU. So I'm not quite on board with Alabama yet and them fixing their issues. So I think in that order there, if we were to order A tier, I think Texas and Alabama be right there. Penn State, I think, is really close behind as well. So I'm good with Penn State there. Oregon, heck, maybe even move Oregon all the way past Texas and Alabama. Maybe I'm fine with that.
We don't order A tier.
So Oklahoma, who was on our A tier last week, goes down to B tier. That was their second loss. They still need some help, but they could find their way back and win the Big 12 here. But they do need quite a bit of help. Ole Miss stays where they're at, and Louisville stays where they're at.
Yeah, I think this is.
I can't think of anybody else that's worthy to move up because that's really all of the one-loss teams minus Tulane here.
Right, and we're not moving.
Those are all
up.
Yeah, and those are all the one-loss teams in A tiers. So all the one-loss teams plus Michigan.
Yes. Notre Dame out of B tier. Yes.
Yep. Notre Dame. That's your third Mario Man. Yeah. You are down to C tier. Now, I guess Clemson can move out of the M tier now. I think Clemson can go back into C. They're
No.
or maybe they're not an M minus anymore.
Okay. Okay.
They get yep. There you go.
We'll put them up there. They were still a team coming in expected to win, or expected among other teams to win the ACC, and they're one game over 500 right now. Now the question is, LSU puts up a good fight against Alabama. Does LSU get out of M tier?
There's such high expectations from LSU this year, and where are they at right now? Where are they at? They are 4-2 in their conference right now.
To be fair, though, they lost. Look at the two teams they lost to.
Yep, it's the teams that's ahead of them, Alabama and Ole Miss.
Those are two. What, are they both top 10 now, according to the AP? Both of those teams.
Yep. So I guess I'm fine.
And
I'm fine moving. I'm fine with moving them out of M tier.
They have 3 losses, but they have 3 losses to 3 teams in the top 10, right?
Yeah, all 3 of them are. Yep, all 3 of them are.
Yeah, we're taking them out of M tier.
Okay. I guess the question here, Jared, is going to be anybody from B tier that should be moved up or down.
We already kicked. Notre Dame down. We got to kick Air Force down. I would say
Air Force. Yep, got to kick Air Force down as well. I don't know who to.
Missouri, I think, can stay. Kansas, I think, can stay. Oklahoma, we just moved down.
You know what? A team we talked about here. We said we warned you guys for many weeks here. Why don't we put Arizona up there, up in B tier? I know they do have 3 losses. They do have 3 losses, but they need a lot of help to be able to get into that conference championship game here. But man, they are such a different team. Such a different team since their freshman quarterback started.
Kyle, I get what you're saying, but like I've adopted Arizona this year. I like Arizona, but like I don't think we can put a team in B tier just because it's a feel good story.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you can keep Arizona in C tier. I'm fine with that, but
is this accurate or no? And the later it comes, the lighter it is. If we beat, hold on, let me start. In my opinion, if Michigan loses to Penn State, they get punished next week. If they beat Penn State and lose to us, they get punished the week after. If they beat us both, it's a postseason punishment. Oh, you're saying later it comes, the later it is. I think that we're going to find out what the Big Ten punishment is probably maybe before this episode even comes out. And that the NCAA doesn't move quickly ever. So we're not going to get an NCAA ruling this year. The NCAA moves too slow. And I don't 100% know what is within the Big Ten's authority to actually do. I don't know that the Big Ten, and by the way, I know they can suspend Harbaugh. I know that's a thing that they can do. The commissioner can just suspend him for 2 games. Just like he has the authority just to do that. If he wants to do it for more than 2 games, he needs to get a vote from, I assume, the school presidents, which is as pissed off as everyone appears to be at Michigan. I don't think that would be a problem. But I don't think the Big Ten has like the ability to like postseason ban. I might be wrong, but I want to say they don't have the ability to postseason ban Michigan. Nor do I think that they would. Actually, what about from the conference championship game?
I just don't think the Big Ten's going to do that.
That's their game, no. So you don't think time of loss affects the level of punishment? No, I don't. I think that the Big Ten is going to rule on a punishment this week. No.
All right. Back to our board here, though, Jared. Anybody else?
By the way, Spike says, "What about the conference championship game? That's their game." No. I don't think they'd do it. I assume they have the authority to do it. I don't think they will. And I'll tell you right now, it's because of Fox. It's TV money, man. It's all TV money.
All right. Anybody else in B tier here? I think there's 2 other teams. Or 3 teams. I think there's 3 teams worth talking about here.
Okay.
First one is Oregon State. Oregon State has 2 losses to Washington State and to Arizona. Their best victories is against Utah and Cal and UCLA. The second one here is Utah. I know that they lost to Oregon. They beat a really bad Arizona State this last weekend. Not quite ready to move them up to B tier, but they play Washington next week.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Or Oregon State beat Colorado.
Oregon State did beat Colorado. Yep. And then the third team would be Tennessee. Tennessee has 2 losses, but they played a really bad UConn this weekend. Not ready to move them up, but they do play Missouri this next weekend. So if they were to beat Missouri, I would move them up to B tier. But I think those 3 teams, I think would have to be right. They're right on the cusp there to be moved up to B tier.
Yeah, I agree. I did move Oregon State up. I feel like we should have had Oregon State up anyway.
That's fine.
I'm
good with this. I'm good with this list here.
Well, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
USC, a lot of preseason hype. Just dropped their 3rd game. Are we looking at M tier? Now, did they play Oregon this week?
M for mid.
Is that right? Does USC play Oregon this week?
I believe they do. They play Oregon and then UCLA.
I want to.
That's a really tough stretch of games. Notre Dame. Notre Dame. Well, even back one up. Arizona, with their freshman quarterback. Notre Dame, Utah. They squeaked out a win against Cal, and then Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. That's a tough sled. That's a tough sled for USC, and they did the right thing by getting rid of Grinch. But they should have done that a long time ago.
I mean, they did have to fire their coordinator mid-season. That's some M tier shit.
Yeah.
Are we M tiering USC?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine M tiering them. I'm fine with M tiering. I know that our
We have
I
some
know
people
that
in
a
the
couple.
Discord
I
are
know.
going
I
to be
know.
happy about that.
I know that. Yeah, I know that. Austin and a few others are going to be happy to see USC and M.
All right, Kyle, let me
I'm
ask
good
you
with that.
this. Oklahoma State. Should we be talking about Oklahoma State for B tier?
Oh, let me pull up. Sorry, I was starting to move things. I was starting to move things around here. Oregon State. Oregon State.
Oklahoma State.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State. Yeah, that's another team.
OSU.
Well, their two best victories is Kansas and Oklahoma this last weekend.
Yeah.
But they have two bad losses. South Alabama and Iowa State, though. It's not like some of these other schools.
No, man. You can't ask to put Arizona up there, and then say that was the before times, and not also give Oklahoma State like the before times pass.
All right. I'm fine with moving Oklahoma State to B tier only because of this.
Okay.
They are tied with Texas in their conference record at 5-1.
Yeah, I know. I think that's an important factor.
Yeah, that is the reason for me.
Yeah. I think being a contender in your conference, I think, is a important factor for being like in B tier. I think that's totally fair and totally
and they're in the driver's seat here. So the teams every team that's behind them, they've beaten. That's with minus. Oh wow, Iowa State has only 2 losses in the Big 12. Hold on. They've beat Kansas, Oklahoma, Kansas State, and West Virginia, all with 2 losses in conference there. So that they're in the driver's seat with UCF, Houston, and BYU, who are
UCF
in the lower UCF. Yeah, they play UCF, Houston, and BYU.
That's their upcoming schedule. I thought you said in the driver's seat with UCF. I'm like, has UCF even won a conference game yet? Okay, I just misunderstood what you were saying.
No, you're talking about Cincinnati. Cincinnati hasn't even won a conference game.
Okay, yeah, but UCF beat Cincinnati, which is
yeah,
they're like a probationary Big 12 team.
Yeah, so their final 3 games are in the bottom quarter of the Big 12 standings. So yeah, they're in the driver's seat.
Isn't this Scarlet and Grade? We're a little off track. No, this is Collegiate Chaos.
Yeah,
this is the other episode.
I am good. I'm good with this right here.
Okay, I think this is fair and good, and I like it. I was really hoping to move Kansas State up to B tier this week, but it didn't work out like that, unfortunately. At a certain point, we're going to have a tough conversation about whether James Madison can be in B tier if they're not allowed to play in the postseason. But maybe that's not for today. It says Scarlet and Grade, and then there's a pipe, and then it says CC, which is Collegiate Chaos. There you go. All right, yeah, I like this. I think we're done here. All right, back to this view. Actually, let me go ahead and save that before I forget. All right. W. Kyle, W. Jared. Thank you. Is that it? Are we good here? Penn State and Michigan play this week.
Yeah, that's what I was going to look
at.
It was
Oregon and USC play this week. By the way, Kyle, and take this for what it's worth, and I'm not saying it's worth a lot. The ESPN game projector thing. I think that's what it's called. Game projector? Win projector?
I think it's their... Yeah.
Basically has Michigan and Penn State 50-50. With a microscopic edge to Penn State. I think that's an interesting note to note. Oh, Kyle has the screenshot ready. Kyle, you were on your shit today. I'm just going to let you know. Between that and immediately knowing when all of Cody Simon's tackles were last week, or last episode.
Let's see. Ranked on ranked games. Michigan, Penn State. You mentioned. Utah in Washington. Tennessee, Missouri. Oh God, Rutgers and Iowa. Oh boy.
Well, hold on.
Ole Miss and Georgia.
I thought we were talking about ranked on ranked teams. Where did Rutgers and Iowa come from?
I just saw that as I'm scrolling down.
By the way, over-under...
Admit that.
The over-under on that game is 28 points.
It is.
28 points.
Ole Miss and Georgia. Another rank on rank matchup there. And then USC and Oregon that you mentioned as well too is a rank on rank as well. So
USC Oregon might not be a rank on rank once the new numbers come out.
Well, USC, according to the AP, is 20th.
How and why? Anyway, it's fine. I don't care.
That's questions for another episode. So, any game that you think that is you can see an upset here.
Well, I honestly think Penn State might win that game. I don't know if that's technically an upset. Do we have What's the Vegas on that?
I think Michigan's favored. Yeah, Michigan by 5.5.
Definitely taking Penn State for 5.5.
Yeah. Is there any of our picks where you have a unranked beating a ranked?
I don't know, man. It's too early. That's a Friday conversation. That's a Friday conversation. I think Penn State wins outright. That's exactly what I was just saying. Florida.
Right. That's it.
Yeah,
I think we'll call it an episode right there.
I think we'll call that an episode. We're only 12 minutes over, which is actually pretty good considering where we've been with this episode recently. So good job, us. And yada, yada, yada. Come join the Discord, t-shirt stores, 7071.thesloopcast.com and merch.thesloopcast.com. Join the Discord server, join the Patreon for as little as $32 a year. Or $3 a month, however you prefer to do that. $32 is a slight discount for doing all 12 months up front. I think it's actually $32.50, and then there might be tax on top of that. I don't know. I've never subscribed to my own Patreon before. But yeah, that's it. Help us out. We would appreciate it. If we've provided a bunch of entertainment to you this season, or maybe even over the years, just throw us a couple dollars over on patreon.thesloopcast.com. It would be greatly appreciated. If you want to advertise, if you or someone you know would like to advertise on the Sloopcast, we are not that expensive. You might think that it costs a lot of money. It does not. So reach out to us, sloopcast@gmail.com, and let us know. They advertised with us for a while, and we used to have Iron Bean Coffee. They advertised for us with a while, and then they don't anymore. We love all of our old sponsors. We love Wolf's Ridge Brewing and Mad Canadian Barbecue Company. All of our past sponsors. It's just you get the word out for a while, and then at a certain point, like, I think the return goes away, right? Like, both Iron Bean and Mad Canadian advertised with us for like a year. And like at a certain point, like the return starts to go away, right? It's just like The word is out. The audience is reached. So, they move on and we move on, and we got nothing but love for them.
Yep.
Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's Corner?
Yeah, how about some CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud doing some great things in the NFL this Sunday here, Jared. breaking lots of records and broke even more records today. 470 passing yards for C.J. Stroud, including 5 touchdowns. He threw 325 yards and 4 of those 5 touchdowns in the second half.
Who was he playing?
Tampa Bay.
Also, Bryce Young with 2 pick sixes. I, for the life of me, don't understand why Stroud wasn't 1-1. And I know you're, Jared, you're Ohio State bias. Okay. Owner stupid.
It's Carolina. Carolina is a terrible organization.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It just, I don't know what to tell you. It's, but it's not like, I don't know, like Houston's been a model organization either, quite frankly. But, hey, I guess they made the right call there.
Yep.
We just need to get Fields out of Chicago, and we can see what happens after that.
Exactly.
Because Chicago is just where quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah.
It is.
Right, that's it.
Just that simple. That's it. That's the end of the show. Once again, tonight's music brought to you by the Wet Darlings. Used to be Cleveland. Well, let's be honest. That's not. I mean, quarterbacks can go to die in more than one place. I mean, I don't think Arizona has a great track record either, if we're being honest. Wet Darlings. Ending tonight's show are the Wet Darlings. They're a band out of Columbus. So with that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support local podcasters. Once again, these are the Wet Darlings.